So here are some numbers, because I've noticed that this audience, has a thing, for numbers. We're way smaller than the Turkey startup ecosystem. We have about 150 teams that are on the ground. The failure rate is super high. 30 of them roughly, got incorporated. We have a lot of co-working spaces. So traditionally, Greeks have had a knack for real estate. So that's the way, of them profiting from this situation. 4 funds were formed in the recent years. And 10 companies have raised funding. Most of it is seed and small Series A funding. But we have a lot of hype. So startups and new venture creation and all these younger folks who are launching companies have been very, very well received and welcomed by the press. And here you can see the founders of a few companies that actually haven't even launched their products and made it to the BBC or national publications. And because we're Greeks and we love unions, we even have a startup labor union, which is super, super impressive. So I can't wait to see the Greek startups one day go on strike. I've been in Silicon Valley for so many years, I haven't seen the Silicon Valley Startup Association. So here some more numbers. As you can see, most of the founders of Greek startups are young people, and they're first-time entrepreneurs. Unfortunately, pretty much, all of them, they want to relocate to the US. So this is, great for those of us who live in the US, not that great, for the local ecosystem. So let's talk about some of the missing pieces of the equation. So we have tons of talented engineers who can speak fluently a bunch of programming languages, although a little bit dated, because in the Greek universities, they don't teach Scala, Objective-C, and all, Ruby, the useful, technologies that some of the web and mobile products are built on. Product sense is not really there, as well as business acumen. So a lot of these people are trying to build products for themselves, and they believe that every single aspect of their daily life can be productized. It's not, unfortunately, the case. Selling is a big issue. I don't know if it's a cultural one or not, but in the startup world, it's a lot about selling yourself, fundraising, recruiting. We don't have that, yet. And sometimes we tend to network mostly with other Greeks. So unfortunately, we have a big diaspora, but in order to add more skills into the equation, Americans are phenomenal marketeers, British people are really good, in finance, so, we have to network more with them. Good news is that all the talent's pretty cheap, so a bunch of companies can afford to build pretty, solid engineering teams for small dollars, euros. So the startups, we have a bunch of clones, but unlike Turkey, they cannot get to big scale really, really fast. A lot of the people are building developers tools because this is, what would make their life easier. But unfortunately, it's really, really hard to build a business based on developer tools. Good news is that few of the companies are based out of Greece. And traditionally, it's been an investor's market. So it's been pretty easy to get into pretty much, any company that an investor wanted at a very, very low valuation. We haven't seen any of the Greek startups of the current generation receive funding from a top-tier US-based VC. And if the market continues to be hot at the exit, side of things, some of them, I can see them, getting acquired for 2 to 20 million. Could be a good return for some of the investors who got into, these companies at a very low valuation, but nothing really, really, meaningful for a major European or American-based VC. Good news is that politicians haven't touched that. So traditionally, in Greece, whatever these guys have touched, it didn't work out very nicely, but they haven't had a big interest in startups yet. But as soon as, we grow the ecosystem and have more people in it, I'm sure, that they will get their hands into it. So investors have been high net worth individuals, so all the shipping magnates, the real estate tycoons, all these folks who now, have viewed startups as a new asset class. Bad news is that they don't write checks very fast, and they do a lot of due diligence. They're not super tech savvy, but at least, instead of buying a big, mansion, now they're keen on writing checks to a few, smaller startups and creating a few jobs. Now it continues to be an investor market, but with the new, 4, funds that got created, it's going to change pretty soon.